I'm excited to be a part of Rockin' the FastLane. I really appreciate you guys reaching out to me and wanting to chat a bit. So it's very cool. I appreciate it.
And what's cool is, what we wanted to start out with is me personally. I remember the first Holy Soldier album, and we had it on cassette. Back then it was back then it was. It was, hey, what can you afford? If we could just get the music, it didn't make a difference, how we got it as long as we got to hear it. And, man, I just remember when Stranger kicked in, the first song, I was sold right there, man. That's a great song, great album. And it's just really cool to talk to you, man.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, I'm glad you guys like the record, It was a lot of fun to do. It was very challenging. It was a real stretch and a growth period for us at that time, to put out that record. And actually, cassette really didn't sound that bad, depending on what, the mechanisms to play it are a little iffy, but
right.
I think it sounded okay for the day. An analog always sounds good, I think.
Yeah, you put it in the car and sit down and cruise. What was tough is changing songs. That was the main thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was one handy thing about CDs when they came out, right?
Exactly. Hey, what I wanted to ask you, after the first album and everything, how did the band get started? For the people that that are first listening and first want to get involved with with Holy Soldier and Michael Cutting and everything that you're doing right now. How'd you get started?
Sure. Well, let's see. I'm going to take my best stab at it. It's been a while, But Holy Soldier began about in, I believe it was 1985, and the core original members at that point were Andy Robbins, our bass player, and Jamie Kramer on guitars, and I believe I could be off by a little bit, but it's 85, 86, I believe. And so they had a few different drummers, and they had the original singer who was Robbie Bronze, or Robbie Wolf, like he goes by. And actually, they had, at that point, they had landed with Larry Farkas, who went on to play with, was it Vengeance and Die Happy and all that. He was one of the guitarists that came in. I actually joined the band in, I think it was around late 86, possibly. Terry had been in the band he had joined as their permanent drummer, I think, around early 86, and I had moved down to Los Angeles. I grew up in Central California, and I moved down there because I just felt like that's what I needed to do for my music career, and I felt like I was led to do that, and I was really looking for a really aggressive, cool Christian rock band that was hopefully looking for a guitar player. And it just, like, when I moved to LA, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job. I just moved down to a real seedy apartment in Hollywood, and I just kind of, it was just a walk of faith. I just said, well, God, here I am, so let's see what happens. And one thing led to another, and I met the guys and went to one of their shows, and I thought, wow, this is just the kind of band I'd like to be in. And I was talking to the guys afterwards, and like a week later, they got a hold of me and said, we don't know if this is for sure or not, but Larry may be leading the band. I thought, wow, this is, talk about timing and what's meant to be. And so that's when I joined the band. And then at that point, it was the solid band is, well, most people not quite as most people know it yet, but we played around the circuit a lot in the Hollywood area at that time, and then Steve and Patrick came in, and Steve joined probably around maybe 1988, I think. And that's kind of how the band got started, and then from there we just worked really hard, really hard, and rehearsed a lot, and just constantly did shows, and one thing led to another, and we got a deal with Murr Records, and also A&M Records, and that was, well, the result of that was our debut record that you were just talking about, so that's kind of what happened.
That's cool that you...
in a not-so-brief way.
Right. It's nice to hear that too. Is not only did you take a leap of faith, but you went out and you went for your dream, and you had something like that happen, which most people don't even do that. Most people just sit back and try to just let things go and just settle. But being that young and going for what you want, I think that says a lot about you as a human being, and I think that's great.
Thanks. Well, it was a little scary, but I guess, when we're older and we look back on things, we go, gosh, did I do that? What was I thinking? Not in this regard, but I look back at my life when I was a teenager and just think, gosh, I can't believe that I lived through that, or I lived as long as I have. I can't believe I did that, or what was I thinking? And we do crazy stuff, but that makes a good point, though, and I think that I kind of lost that for a while, getting older and growing up and the whole thing. But I think it's something that's good that you don't let go of. If you try to keep that spirit of adventure and going for it, and not getting complacent and kind of just comfortable with where you're at, because then you're not growing, and you're not experiencing, I think, things as fully as you can.
Right. Exactly. And in the beginning of the band, when you put out the first album and everything, and you guys got together, mm-hmm. what was it like to to write with those guys? I mean, first thing, what were you looking for? Because the album is, it's a really good album. I mean, for a debut album, for a young band like that, you guys really nailed it.
Thank you. Thanks. Well, it was a group effort for sure, and I would say, if you really want some inside stuff, I can tell you all about it. Basically, some of our demos and things are floating around the internet, and they've been available in our little cassette things we put out when we were writing and trying to find management, and then we were fortunate and blessed to get Darren Hinton, who came in and managed the band, and she used to work with Stryper, and she was a big boost and help for us to get us more focused. But we were really disciplined back then. We rehearsed 5 nights a week, every week, and then we'd do shows on the weekends, and we were pretty serious about it. We were always writing, and it was always pretty much a group effort. Sometimes I would come in with a chorus riff on the guitar, a vocal riff, or a title of a song, or Terry might have a chorus. He would actually come up with some pretty good vocal hooks. And we would all just write, and we would write, and we would write. But what really put us through the fire, I think, is when David Zafiro came in and produced us. And I would say that, that was really one of the best things that could have ever happened for the band, because we were, at that point, we were still young songwriters and very guitar-oriented. Of course, I was a guitar player, and I was into all the people. Like, I started with blues guitar playing, and I got into Van Halen and Randy Rhoads, and I went through the shred thing like everybody went through, and Jamie was really into that as well, and he was into Dawkins and things like that, and so our songs were real guitar driven. And one thing that David did that really helped us is, I would say that the greatest inspiration for me was he came to watch us play after we had already signed our deal with Murr, and we were looking for producers. And he came to one of our shows, I believe it was at guitarist. And after the show, it was the first time I met him, and I said, "So what did you think of the show?" And he goes, "It's pretty good. It's a good show." Dave's a pretty straightforward guy, and he goes, "But I'll tell you what." He says, "If I get the gig with you guys, and I'm going to produce you, he said, we're going to start from the ground up. We're gonna rebuild." And we were actually talking to another very well-known rock musician. I won't name names, but he's real popular at the time, really out front, and he was interested in producing us as well.
Right.
And we went to dinner with him, and he said, "Yeah, I like your songs. You know, I think we could just change a few things here or there, or write a change a vocal, but I think it's pretty good the way it is." And that contrasting with David, and what David said is really what I wanted to hear personally, and I was sold. I was like, okay, this guy knows that we need work, and we knew we needed work, but it took somebody to come in, an outside person that could kind of oversee it and guide us through it and that process, and that was really, I think, one of the greatest things that happened to Holy Soldier on musical and songwriting is we went into pre-production for our record, and we listened to some things. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's a strong hook there. I like that chorus. That's good. But we pretty much tore everything down. A lot of stuff that we had in the past, a few good, strong things made it to the record, but a lot of things we just kind of rewrote. And under that guidance and direction that David had, he had a strong, fantastic sense of melody and song structure and things that we were lacking at the time, and it was just a perfect match, and just very, very grateful that we began that very, almost lifelong working process, partnership, and so that's what it was like. It was really crazy. We really just rewrote everything from the ground up.
That's a perfect guy for you, as far as Christian rock. I mean, David is amazing. I mean, I remember some of the stuff we were listening to, like Blood Good back in in the late '80s, and he did a lot of those compilations too. I mean, I know there was a lot of the compilations that he put together back then, and the guy's amazing. I mean, he really has his finger on the on the button or on the pulse of that style of music. I mean, he really did a lot of good things. That's cool that he worked with you guys like that.
Yeah, it was amazing. I just love the guys. Even today, he's still one of my closest friends. We hit it off way back then. I think that first night, and we've had a great relationship and all these years. And he also worked with me on my record, my solo record that I just had released. So we're still in contact, work together all the time. I mean, he's great at what he does. He's a fantastic guitar player. He's a great singer. He's got a strong sense of songwriting and melody, and something works, and it works well. It's like that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly. Hey, another thing I wanted to bring up, on the first album was not only how good the the songwriting was, but how well you guys played as far as diversity in the songs. I mean, it was heavy, but the slower songs, the ballads on the CD, on the album are fantastic. I mean, you guys really nailed it. And your guitar playing, I was listening today, just to get pumped up for the interview, and it's amazing, Michael. It really is. I mean, it's melodic, it's and a lot of feeling, and that's one thing that I love about a good guitar player. I mean, anybody can go up there and and shred, but a guy that can really bring a sense of what he's trying to communicate to the audience and what he's feeling is exceptional to me, and you have that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I agree with you. I mean, to me, it's really all about soul and playing from the heart and the gut, I guess is how you put it, and always what I've strived for. When I started playing, I was fortunate enough to have my older brother. His best friend was in a band that was just a huge band from our town, and they kind of mentored me and took me in at a really young age and treated me like I was one of them. They were very, very cool to me. And one of the guys just said, "Look, you know, if you really want to be a guitar player, you got to learn the blues." I was like, "Really? Oh, okay." I was 11 years old. Okay, well, what do you mean? And he says, "You got to listen to this guy. You got to listen to this guy." So, you know, I started out with listening to people like Albert King, all the Kings, Freddie King, B.B. King, Hendrix, and all these people that really say a lot with very few notes, and it's all about the soul and the feeling. And I've always strived for that as a guitar player. That I've heard people that are technically amazing, like you had mentioned. They can go up and down that fretboard like I could never dream of doing. But I've heard things, and they do these solos, and I just go, you know, it just, for me personally, it just leaves me flat. It didn't inspire me. I didn't feel any emotion in it, and I would rather hear a blues player just, you know, playing a couple notes with feeling and just making you cry over the emotion. That's really, to me, what music is about. Is really to touch something inside the listener and to evoke an emotion or some kind of response, or bring back a memory, or make you feel happy, or make you feel sad, or something. To me, that's music. Music is a language, and we need to communicate with that. It's not just technique, in my opinion. But thank you. I really do appreciate that compliment. It means a lot.
And tying back, you mentioned your your new album that just came out, and I'd have to say it's very impressive. It's I was just telling Brian today. I said, I was just listening to that today, and I said, man, he's a great guitarist. Yeah, I said that listening through to the songs, and I thought you did a great job, and you said that David produced that as well, and it sounds fantastic, man.
Well, thank you. Yeah, actually, I produced the record, and
okay.
I had. I'll tell you about this. The short of it is, I produced the record, and David had mixed the record for me. He mixed and mastered it,
okay.
Because I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but David has kind of not been so much in the musical spotlight as an artist and a recording, but he's been a mix engineer and doing a lot of studio work, and he is actually a platinum mix engineer. He's
cool.
mixed for a country band called Little Big Town, and their record went platinum.
Right.
And he's also mixed for, I think it was Point of Grace, and he's done some amazing work. He's unbelievable, and I've had, just as I mentioned earlier, a fantastic working relationship with him, and I was like, I want David to mix this, because I know he'll get it. He'll know where I'm at, and we're brothers. We talk, and a great relationship, and so I knew that he would know where I'm coming from, because we've worked together on so many projects. So what he did was amazing, and but one of the things that actually, I could back up a little now and tell you that when it came time to when I was recording my record, I was doing pretty much everything myself. I was engineering it, I was producing, I was writing and doing the recording, and the performing is a lot of work. And as I was getting closer to having the foundation of my songs laid down, and I had my vocals and everything scratch recorded, and I knew kind of where I wanted everything,
right.
I really this was kind of my debut as a lead vocalist as well. I've been a backing vocalist for Holy Soldier and other projects over the years, but I've never really sang lead vocals on an official project. So this is my first time, and so I thought to do the best that I can do, I really can't have my headphones on and my hand on the recording button and worried about doing the engineering and that sort of thing and trying to get the best performance. And there's so many things involved in that, and being not a long-time lead singer, I thought, well, I'm going to get David, so I called Dave and I said, would you be willing to produce my vocals? Would you engineer and produce? And he said, yeah, of course. So we set up a time. When the time came and I was ready to record vocals, I flew out to Los Angeles and stayed with Dave and his wife, and he did the producing. He would say, "Oh, that's not quite there," or, "What are you doing there? That's horrible," or, "I like that. Try this." And so we worked together, went back and forth, and I had just complete peace of mind in knowing that my vocal performance was going to be in the very best hands it could possibly be, because I just have 110%, if there is such a thing, confidence in Dave's abilities and what he does. So I just said, just take over, engineer my vocals, produce me, and let's make this thing happen. So he did that and mixed it and mastered it as well, and I love what he did. I think it's amazing.
It is. It's really good. I mean, when I knew we were going to do this interview, I said, I saw that you were bringing out, you had this new album out, and I'm going to get out and buy this thing. That's for sure. I was very impressed. I mean, oh, go ahead.
Have you heard much of it, or?
Like I said, I was listening to it, most of the day today. Angel on My Mind is excellent, instrumental.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think of what the name of the song was. I believe it was Never Forget.
Mm-hmm.
And really going the whole way through. I got to listen through one time today, and what's tough sometimes is we get so many albums that come in to review and things, and I try to keep up with everything. And sometimes I find things like later, like a few months down the road, because you brought this out in January, correct?
Yes, it came out on January 1st. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's not being able to have listened to a bunch of times through, but being able to listen just one time, I was hooked. I really liked it. It brings a lot of different styles into it as well. I mean, I noticed like the blues side of it. And then you have like it's very melodic all the way through, and and you're doing vocals, but you also have a couple girls that are doing vocals on this as well, and it sounds great.
Thanks, thank you. Yeah, it's just kind of when the songs kind of evolved, I just thought, well, I hear this voice in my head, and so I searched out the second song. It's called Karma. And I have a wonderful Indian artist, and she's from Los Angeles, and I was searching for that sound in my head, and I was about to give up, and I was almost out of time, and I had to leave Los Angeles to head back to Brazil, and she, like, literally, the 2 days before I was to leave, she answered my Craigslist ad, and I heard her voice, and I was like, wow, this is exactly what I was hearing in my head. And she came in, and she was just amazing. She moved to Los Angeles like 3 or 4 years prior to that with her and her husband, and she's a teacher of Indian voice, and she's an artist in her own right. She's got a lot of she does some really cool music. She's a great singer and stuff. The funny thing was she told me, this is what she told me. She said, "This is the first time I've ever listened to rock music." I said, "Are you kidding me?" And she goes, "No, I've never listened to American rock music." I said,
wow.
"Well, I hope you like it." But she did a great job. She came to the studio and just knocked it out, and what she did was really awesome. And it's interesting when you pointed out that it is a lot of different styles, and I really wasn't, to do this record, it was kind of a therapeutical thing for me. My first time out doing my own thing, and I just wanted to write without having any real guidelines, so to speak, or reservations. I just kind of explored things, and I let things come out the way they wanted to. So the song the songs are very diverse. It is. I agree with you, and that's kind of been a two-edged sword for me at this point, because some people they flip out of the diversity, and I like that personally.
Right.
But there are some people that, they're used to hearing like a certain record a certain way, or a band that will be in the same vein,
right.
which comes to mind would be something like AC/DC to me. I think they're an amazing band, and they've, gosh, how many years and how many records have they put out? They're, three or four chords.
Right.
And, all their songs sound different, but they all have that same vein. When you hear that song, that's AC/DC, and my record is not like that. It's very diverse. So some people dig it. Some people kind of hard time getting their head wrapped around it, and some of the people, I guess the Holy Soldier fans, it's the same thing. A lot of people dig it. Some people are like, well, it's not Holy Soldier. It sounds too... Like, well, yeah, and I was 1/5 of Holy Soldier. So
right.
And times have changed, and music has changed, and I have always strived to grow as a person, an individual, and as a guitarist, as a musician, and I don't write the same way as I did when our songs, we wrote that record, our first Holy Soldier record in 1989. It was released in 1990.
Right.
Music is just not like that anymore.
Right.
For good or bad or indifferent, but so I say, just give it a chance. I know it's not for everybody, but that's okay.
I think it's great, and you brought up, how things have changed and, different, and I know, what I used to like when I was younger. I mean, I was like pretty much a straight metalhead, so if it didn't have that sound. But now, I get to listen to so many different, styles of guys that are hard rock artists, or what they're perceived as hard rock artists doing, different things. And I think it's great to hear, a different expression, like a different side of what I normally knew you for. Like I said, the guitar playing in this is fantastic, and the songwriting and the structure of everything and how it's put together. And when you went into to write this album, what was the what were you looking for? Was it like a something that you had some of these songs years ago and you had to kind of rework them, or was it just something that you went in with new material? How did that go about?
John, that's a good question. It's a little of both. There were some things. I'll tell you a little funny story. I'm notorious for making demo tapes and riffs and things, if you will. And we'll go back to the cassette days. I've always, ever since I was 14 years old, if I come up with an idea, I put it on a cassette. I put it on a cassette. And when I got to the point that I wanted to say, okay, I think now's the time to do this record. I feel like there's things I want to say. There's topics that are important to me. The writing process is I dug out a shoebox or two full of cassettes, and I almost couldn't even find a cassette player to listen to some, but most of them I had transferred into years ago into MP3s just to kind of get rid of the clutter and stuff. Right. But they're all slated, and it was really funny because my wife would always laugh at me because I would grab my, and now these days I'm grabbing my iPhone, I hit memo, and I say, okay, it's June 17th, 2016. Here's a riff and blah blah blah, right. And I'll record it. And when I went back and I started digging through all this stuff, and I just have recordings from. This is February 9th, 1993. Here's a riff in D minor or whatever. She just roll her eyes and laugh. And it got to be a long-running joke with us. She goes like, "You got to get this record done because, what's it going to be? It's going to be like pretty soon. It's going to be, September 7th, 2033. You know, so we went through all this stuff, and finally what I did was I just kind of went through things, and I had certain things that I thought were strong, and I go, this is a really strong thing, so I'm going to keep this. And I started a project board. I got this riff here, this riff there. And for example, Karma was a song that I had the chorus, the main guitar riff, and the melody for it without the actual verses and the structure. Probably, you know, I probably wrote that, I don't know, 7 years ago maybe. And, you know, that's a song that I kind of dug out. And some of them were written in the process. For example, while I was demoing and writing the parts and completing some of these songs, for example, you had mentioned the instrumental Angel on My Mind. I had wrote that in the process of writing the record. And some of the songs that came along during the process. Some of the riffs were not too many of the riffs, but some of them were that I pulled off my cassettes and things, and I would add to them, change them around. But from a standpoint of just a songwriter and personal something to say, it's been difficult for me to express, really, to put into a tangible way what I'm feeling and thinking and what I want to say, and hopefully a very poetic but understandable way. You know, I want to write my lyrics in a way that people can read them and they're, you know, hopefully clever and keep the readers or listeners' interest, but yet are easy to understand. And I've always been somewhat of a songwriter, but going back to when I was younger and even when we talked about Holy Soldier writing the first record and subsequent records after that, I've always been the type of guy that, well, I could come up with a guitar riff and maybe a vocal hook or a chorus or a lyric in a chorus or a certain thing. But my problem was I could never finish the darn song. You know, I would have excuse me. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's taken this long for me to develop as my craft as a songwriter and as an artist, you know, to get beyond a guitar player and, oh yeah, I can solo over that, or I can sing that vocal. And in Holy Soldier, it was all, we all worked together. And I think probably an example of what I'm saying was probably my biggest contribution at first record was Eyes of Innocence. I had pretty much presented it to Steven. I had the title, the first verse, the chorus, and the music, the melody, and it got to that point, and I said, well, here it is, and he goes, wow, man, that's really great. Well, what's the rest? And I said, well, I don't have any more. I can't finish it. I guess what you call is writer's block. So for me, right. It's taken this long for me to just kind of develop my craft, and it was really painful at first to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write, and I'm going to finish this song. I'm going to finish these lyrics, and so it was a tremendous amount of growth and stretching for me to do this. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now that you've done the solo album and and it's out there, what kind of feedback you've been getting on it? I'd imagine it's pretty good.
Well, I've been getting a lot of feedback. Everything from I haven't heard anything negative, which is nice.
Good.
A lot of positive. I'm getting a lot of great reviews, and people are digging it. People are, I think, a lot of people who don't know me from Holy Soldier are embracing it and enjoying it, because they're hearing it for like I'm just an artist, I'm just Michael Cutting, who maybe not familiar with my work in the past. So people are enjoying it. It's on several internet radio stations. It's on Spotify, and I'm picking up fans and people saying, I really like it. I like this song, I like that song, and what's really rewarding for me is there's a couple of songs. Well, all the songs are written from really from my own personal experiences and my life experiences and things that I've dealt with or have gone through or am experiencing, and so it's what's really rewarding is hearing someone say, hey, I heard that song you wrote, Never Forget, and that really meant a lot to me, and it really touched me, and so that kind of feedback's been amazing. As I mentioned before, Holy Soldier fans, a lot of them dig it. Some of the feedback are from the hardcore guys that they want to hear Stranger and Tear Down the Walls and the heavy stuff, and my record's just not in that any one vein. I have a couple heavy songs on there, but I think a lot of people gravitate to different things on the record, which I think is cool. I think it's not just for any one listener. One person may love the softer, more mellow stuff, and not like the hard stuff. It could be vice versa. So I think there's something for everybody. And the way I kind of approached this record was I just wanted. I kind of look at it like being kind of like a Led Zeppelin record in the way that they're amazing. I'm not saying it's stands up next to Led Zeppelin, but what would we say, the concept of their approach to their music, I think that's how I kind of approach my record, because if you ever into Led Zeppelin or listen to them, they would be like you would hear like this bombastic, heavy songs for their days. Right. And then they turn around and do something like Going to California, which is an acoustic and a mandolin. Right. They would explore all extremes. So I kind of look at my record in that kind of thing. It's different shades and different colors. It's not any one thing. So, but the feedback's been great. I just hope that more people can get exposed to it and hear it. Agreed. But I'm excited about what I'm hearing so far. People are enjoying it, and that makes me happy. It is.
I think it's great. I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna pick up a copy and I'm gonna give it a review for you as well, because I like being able.
That'd be great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. I love to sit back and and enjoy it, and really get a chance to. Sometimes when you sit and listen to something, you get distracted. I just like to be able to sit back and just let it come to me and come out and really give you a good review. I mean, that's another thing we look at as far as the way we do reviews is we don't want to just throw something out there and say, well, it sounds good, like we recommend these 3 tracks, and I like to sit back and really take in what the artist is trying to get across. And really show some appreciation, as far as
I appreciate
doing
that.
a review.
Thank you. One of the things that's pretty cool is that people are saying, which means a lot to me. It's like, oh wow, they get it. I'm getting a lot of feedback of saying, this isn't the type of record that you hear one time and you go, okay, I heard it. Right. The feedback I'm getting is the more I listen to it, the more I hear, and then the more that. They hear more about, they get more out of the layering and the instrumentation, or they hear more about the mood, or they get more out of the lyrics. So I really like that. I mean, it means a lot to me. So people are saying that the more they listen to it, the more they get out of it. So I take that as a good sign.
That's really good. It's good that they're giving you that feedback. And is this an album where you're going to have a chance to to do any live performances with?
John, I really hope so. I'm putting together some musicians. I live in Brazil right now. I've been here for several years. My wife's family's from here, and we decided to come down and spend some time with her family because we've been in the States for so long. Right. So I have quite a pool of fantastic Brazilian musicians, and it's easy to play down here. What I'd really like to do is to get up there and do some stuff. I'm speaking with a few people and a few promoters and stuff about possibly doing some shows up there to support the record. It could be there is talk of like acoustic shows, maybe one or two people, or just a solo acoustic thing, and also when I'm really trying to get a full band and do a full production, I'd really like to get out there and do it. My show, when I perform down here, I usually do. Well, of course, I do my own music, and I do a few songs from another band that I was in, that I did a record with several years ago, and I throw in a few Holy Soldier songs, like my own renditions of them. I will do, at times I've done See No Evil, Promised Man, the title track Promised Man, Last Train, my own version of that, a little bluesier, and of course not the vocal range. It's not up as high because I'm not Stephen Patrick. so my show, I kind of mix my music along with some stuff from my career, like some of the highlights of Holy Soldier that I can do justice to, and kind of do my own thing and still keep the integrity of the songs. And so I think it'd be a rocking show if I could get the opportunity to get up there and do some stuff. I'd really like to do that. So I'm in the process of working some of that out. So hopefully that will come to fruition. I'll be able to do some shows soon in the States.
That's good to hear. I really hope you do get the opportunity, because we'd like to. I know where we're at here in Pittsburgh, we don't get to see a whole lot of different bands. I mean, a lot of the mainstream guys don't even come here, but just
really,
it's amazing. I mean, like Iron Maiden didn't come in, Metallica didn't hit Pittsburgh, and there's just. And I'm just hoping that we're going to start opening up a little bit. Even the whole United States. I mean, I'm starting to, we're starting to see like it's starting to swing a little bit back the other way, where the bands are starting to, they're getting back together. They're coming back out. They're playing more shows, and I kind of think that really the whole music scene in the States really does need something, injected into it. It needs something different. It needs to go. A different way, and I'm hoping that's what's going to happen here pretty soon.
I hope so too. I think it seems like the music is just kind of splintering, and a lot of people, a lot of people are digging modern music. The modern rock stuff. I mean, there's some good stuff out there, but there's a lot of garbage.
You're right.
Garbage.
You're right.
And
that's the best way to put it. That's the best way to put it.
I mean, I'm not going to name names, but
right.
I mean, to me, where's the craft and the songwriting? And there's some great artists out there that really write, but there's just so much stuff. I think people have gotten so dumbed down in like music appreciation and hearing what's good anymore, and they don't. I don't think a lot of artists, they don't need to anymore to really hone their craft and write clever lyrics and write good hooks and write memorable songs. It's just like, it's really just become such a, well, it's always been money driven by the record companies, but really the record companies are kind of going the way of the dinosaur. It's really hurt them with the advent and the digital age and how, guys can do incredible records in their bedrooms now. You don't need the record company. It's all, do it yourself now. You can DIY your own tours, your own merchandise, your own recordings, your own record company. So I think the labels are getting more desperate. So they just put out stuff to just dumb the masses. The biggest thing that will make the biggest splat on the wall.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about, the repetitious lyric thing that's like 2 or 3 or 4 words and a few things and these horrible hooks and people are getting tired of that, and I hope that continues to happen, that trend that you're talking about, because people want good music. People want stuff that it's okay when you're going out with your friends and you're young and you just want to hear that pounding beat, and that's cool and stuff, but I think after a while, people want stuff of substance, They want something that's going to speak to them on an emotional level, something that's not just, yay, went out and had a good time tonight, party with my buds, and that's it. They want...
You're right. Exactly right. Exactly right. I was just going to say, it's like, it's just so... that's what we talk about with a lot of the guys that we interview, the instant gratification, times. I mean, it's everything in music. It's like like Picasso doing a paint by
yeah.
number. I mean, it's doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's kind of the downside, isn't it, of the digital revolution? And it started with MTV. Our generation, what we dug and got used to videos, and then but the next and the following generations that came after, now it's just thrill me within 5 or 10 seconds, or I'm out of here. The attention span is just, I think, as a society, has just gotten that so limited and so thin, so superficial, like you said, and that's the sad part of it. And I hope that people are, kind of sensing that they're missing something and look for things of more substance, personally in their personal lives and music and everything else.
Right. Now, after you have the the new album's out and it's it's doing well. You're getting good reviews and everything. Is this going to be something that you're going to continue on? Maybe do another solo record.
Well, yeah, I want to. I feel like I've got over that writer's block that I told you about earlier, and I've really grown a lot as a writer and as a musician. I think it stretched me every way possible, and I do plan to do another record. I don't know when it will be, but I think. I was just telling my wife this the other day. I was like, I want to do another record. She's like, well, why don't you support this one and do what you need to do with this one first? And I thought, but I think it's going to be heavy. I think if I do another record, I'm just going to I want to write some really heavy stuff.
Right.
So I don't know. I think I have no idea. I don't have any preconceived ideas going into the next one either. But I do think as I've been playing more since the release of the record, just practicing and rehearsing and just kind of really getting back to my passion for my instrument, for the guitar that I had when I started in the beginning. What really got me into music was I loved to play guitar, and kind of rediscovering that again. And so I pulled out my main axe that I used for Holy Soldier, and the one with the Floyd Rose, the whammy bar on it, and the fast, Jackson guitar neck. And I've been, shredding away on that, going, this is fun again, And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking, maybe I'll write some heavier stuff, who knows? But we'll see.
That's good that you're still, you still have the passion for doing it, because it's, for us, just being fans and seeing, the things that you guys are still out there doing, and you're still, you stick to your guns, and that's what we appreciate as fans. I mean, you still go out there, and you still give 1,000%, and we hear it in the quality of the music and the quality of the the people that you are. I mean, it's just so, it makes us proud, to say that we're a part of that generation, and this is our music, and we stand beside it. It's just fantastic. I mean, I'm so happy that that my life went that way, to be able to be a part of this and be able to listen to it for so many years, and we really appreciate it, man. I thank you for what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that, John. Thank you, and that's a good lead. And I want to thank you and your brother Brian. I want to thank Rock and the FastLane for reaching out and having the interest and the passion for the music and being interested in what I'm doing, and I appreciate that. And I really, on that note, I really want to thank a personal thank you to the Holy Soldier fans that have been there for us from the beginning. What you shared was really cool, and it really means a lot to me personally. I know it means a lot to all the guys in the band, and we really, really sincerely appreciate the love and support and the loyalty and the passion that Holy Soldier fans have had for our music all these years, and it doesn't go unnoticed, and just really want to acknowledge that and tell everyone thank you so much. It really means a lot to us. We're very grateful to have that kind of support.
And that's cool. Great. That is great. And how about, in conclusion, any last words, anything else that you want to get out there? I wanted to give everybody that's going to listen in is michaelcutting.com. Listen to Unspoken is the new record. Came out in January. It's fantastic. I mean, it's this guy is this is a real musician here. This is a guy that plays from the heart, and he's delivered an amazing album here that I think it touches a lot of different musical genres and tastes. So michaelcutting.com, Unspoken, get out and give it a listen, and
Thank you. Thanks for that, John. Yeah, it's if people are still out there, I know people are still out there like me and like you that like to remember the days of way back, maybe cassettes and albums, being able to open them up and touch them and read everything, and
right.
That was for me some of the greatest experiences as a kid, is just listening to these people, and I would read every single thing on the record, and it would be really cool if they included the lyrics or who played on this song, or where was this recorded, or all the great things. And then CDs, of course, we still have the foldouts, and now kind of with the MP3 and the download thing, it kind of lost that experience. And for younger people that have never experienced that, I would encourage them to go out and find your favorite record or your favorite recording, see if it's available on a CD at least, and pick it up and read, and you get so much out of it, so much more out of it. And that to say that I had actually, not only is my CD available on the regular digital formats, it's available on CD Baby for digital download. It's available on iTunes. It's available on Spotify if you want to have a listen to it. If you like what you hear, I'd appreciate the support. If you feel inclined to, you can download it and buy a copy. That'd be great. If not, that's cool too. But if you really want to have that experience and kind of get inside my head and what this record is really all about, this recording, is you can go to my website, as John mentioned, at www.michaelcutting.com, and there I sell the CDs directly, and they're really nicely done. It's a CD jewel pack. It's got fold out as if you would find in a CD. It's got all the lyrics to all the songs, all the I hand wrote and personally my thoughts kind of on what each song is about, so you can kind of get a clear picture of that and read the lyrics and my thoughts and all the different things. It's really cool, and I think it's a good experience for people to check out the lyrics, because there's a lot of stuff on there. It does cover a lot of ground musically, but lyrically a lot of different subjects and a lot of things that I think people can relate to. That was really my focus in writing the record, is sharing things and writing in a way that people can relate to what the songs are about. And you just get a deeper, more rich experience if you have the lyrics in front of you. So if that sounds like something interesting, you can check it out there. Otherwise, thanks so much for the support. And I hope to get up to the States and do some shows. Love to see everybody out there. And we'll do some Holy Soldier stuff with my music as well. So a little bit of, like my record, a little bit of something for everybody.
It is. You couldn't have put it any better. I'll say that again to everybody. www.michaelcutting.com. Get out and listen to Unspoken and all the the digital spots, and you could get the the physical copy on his website, and I listened to it today and I totally enjoyed it. So actually, in a few minutes after this interview, I'll be jumping on and ordering a copy of it.
Right on, thanks, man.
Absolutely.
And I'm also I'm on the usual social media sites. I've got a Michael Cutting Music on Facebook, my official artist page there, and I think I'm on Instagram, and all those fun things, all those fun outlets. You can find me floating around there somewhere. Appreciate the support. Just stop by the page, like it if you would, and follow me on all those other things. It'd be great. I update people on what's going on, and especially also on my website, as you mentioned. I keep up to date on possible interviews, tours, and whatnot. So
fantastic.
There you have it.
Fantastic, Michael. I really want to say thank you again, man. That's it was great to speak to you. And I wish you nothing but the best. I hope the album does fantastic for you. I'm going to grab a copy. We'll get the interview out to you, help you spread the word, and anything you need. I mean,
fantastic.
We're happy to do it. We appreciate, like I said, we're giving back, to what you've done, and to all the artists that done it. We really appreciate it. We really do.
Thank you. Well, I do, and as I said earlier, Holy Soldier does too. And John and your brother Brian, both of you, thank you guys so much for the opportunity of being on Rockin' the FastLane. I really do appreciate it, and I really enjoyed it. It was very cool. And thanks so much for the support. And let's keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great night.